Welcome back to the channel. Matt here. This video is going to be considered part 2 of the video that was uploaded a few weeks ago where we discussed how to install FSFO as well as go over every configuration option available. Today I thought we'd go ahead and create a company and run through the pre-flight procedures so I can expand upon those options. Before we get started, brief disclaimers. One, apologize for not being around much on Discord or other communication apertures. My real job has kept me incredibly busy over the last couple of weeks. However, what little free time I've had, I've devoted to getting version 5 up and running. Quite frankly, some of the things that I showcased during the last video, I wasn't really happy with. I wanted to go back and, for example, rewrite the entire fleet management because I didn't like how it worked prior to. I also forgot a lot of options that were in the FSFO Next. For some reason, I just didn't include them in version 5. So I wanted to go back and get those in there, and I'll showcase some of those as we go forward. Okay, with the disclaimers out of the way, let's get right into it and create our company. One option I would like you to take note of is this right here, career mode. All the other company options that we're going to set here very soon are predicated on this one option. So if you, for one given day, if you don't want to fly a company flight because you want to fly from point A to point B without any regards to your company, just turn this off and FSFO won't look for any of the options that we're about to set. Okay, name the company. We're going to name it Delta since I fly for Delta Virtual. FSFO for me augments my virtual airline nicely. Can't enter anything in the founded, money, or reputation field. Those will be automatically entered for you. Delta's code is DAL. Its major hub is Atlanta. However, for this right here, just pick the airport you want to fly the most out of. Typically, that's a pay-where airport. What will happen is when we create a company, FSFO will generate you a schedule, and either, half the flights will either start or terminate from this airport right here. All right, so it's a US-based company, so I'm going to US there. I'm going to use my Delta schedule that I created in the last video. Incredibly easy to do. If you have interest in creating your own schedule based on whatever airline you want to fly for, let me know. I can help you with that. Not a big deal. Options: must own the aircraft, exactly like it sounds. When we start the company, we're going to have zero money. However, we will have an opportunity to take a loan out to purchase the aircraft that we intend to fly. And again, you must own the aircraft if this option is enabled. Speaking of loans, if this option is enabled, what will happen is you will start with a 40% reputation. Your loan amount that you will be able to borrow from the bank will be based on that reputation. So 40%, you can only take a maximum up to $65 million, and there will be a hefty interest rate applied to that. However, if you just want to fly 777s right out the gate and you just want to borrow whatever money, just turn this off and you will be able to take that loan out. Income multiplier. What this attempts to simulate is typically an aircraft will fly multiple segments on the same day. However, as simulated pilots, with kids and wives and spouses and things like that, we may not get a chance to fly multiple segments. We're lucky if we get to fly one. So this attempts to overcome that by multiplying the revenue by either 2 or 3 for that day to simulate the aircraft flying additional segments. So I'm going to turn that on. Company can fail. The 3 parameters we discussed last time: $1 billion in debt, your reputation falling below 31, or multiple crashes within a specific time period. All will cause your company to be deleted and you'll have to start all over. Random failures, that is your mechanical failures to your aircraft: auto throttle not working, flight director won't engage, gear won't retract or extend, flaps won't extend or retract. So all those mechanical failures to the aircraft. Some mechanical failures you can fly with. For example, auto throttle is not necessarily a critical error or a critical mechanical failure. You just would have to manage your throttle yourself. However, the ability not to extend the flaps or retract them is a critical failure. And if you choose to fly with that mechanical defect, while you're still on the ground, you will get a specific or a hefty reputation loss if you choose to do that. Random events, what that is those are, unlike the mechanical defects, these are things that will disrupt the operation flow. For example, ATC asking you to hold for 20 minutes because a weather pattern down on the route is creating an issue where they need to create more separation on the airways, or the jetway not being able to connect so passengers can't board. Random events that interrupt the sequence of the flow. However, my time is precious, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that off. Include maintenance and insurance costs. What that is if you look again on the financial report, when you fly your flight, your maintenance and your insurance costs, 30% will be deducted from the revenue. That is based on real world financial data. Typically, that's what at the end of year when airlines create their financial forecasts and reports, there shows a 30% deduction for maintenance and insurance costs. So if you haven't that enabled, that will be deducted from your revenue at the end of each flight. Start from last airport, just like it sounds. You must start the next flight from the airport you flew in on. However, that's not a hard and fast option. I get it. Sometimes people don't want to fly from the last airport they flew into. They want to fly somewhere else. You can do that with that option enabled. It will just cost you some money to relocate the aircraft, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. Costs, these are pulled monthly from the website. They're based on an average between Europe and US airports. I will eventually add Asian airports into that. However, I don't have a good data file for that yet, so it may take a little bit of time. But again, these are based on real world prices. Prices, speaking of, what will happen if you go to the right here, your ticket prices will go ahead and increase and you'll create more ticket revenue at the end of the flight. However, be mindful, if you're Spirit Airways and you have a low reputation, you can't charge British Airways prices. If you do go all the way, what will happen is you could potentially incur what's referred to as a ticket penalty. And what that is meant to simulate is passengers choosing to book for other airlines, despite what you have in your sim brief or wherever, your sim brief passengers. So that's what that attempts to do. All right, so bank, this will be, once we create a company, this will tell us how much money we can take and the interest rate that will be applied to that. All right, let's go ahead and create our company. There you go. Congratulations. Our company is created. What I want to do now is I want to, actually, let's go ahead and look at the bank. Again, we can see $65 million at a 7.13% interest rate. Pretty hefty interest rate applied to 65 million. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a schedule. Again, you get a 5% revenue boost if you fly a scheduled flight. I'm going to do that, and since I'm at Bangor, I'm going to start from Bangor, and my maximum payload is going to be 10,000, and let's generate that flight. All right, so what that's saying is it cannot find a return flight. Not a big deal. What will happen is the aircraft will just have to be repositioned, or you will have to create a new schedule and just start from KORD, which is Chicago, O'Hara. So again, here's our flight from Bangor to Buffalo, Buffalo to Green Bay, Green Bay to Detroit, and Detroit to O'Hara. You don't have to do anything. FSFO will automatically look to see if you're starting from Bangor and terminating in Buffalo, and then you'll get the 5% increase, and this flight will automatically be removed from the schedule, and the next flight will occur. So there we go. That's the schedule. Super easy. All right, let's go to the fleet page. As you can see, we don't own any aircraft. However, in the company option, we said we must own the aircraft, and we have career mode enabled. So if I try to start any flow or checklist right now, assuming I connect FSFO to the simulator, it will tell me I am unable to do so. Let's go ahead and turn autoflow off just for now. It should be tell me I am unable to do so because I don't own any aircraft. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that now. You do not own aircraft. That's the registration number. Please go to setup fleet and search the market for available aircraft. So let's do that. We'll go to the fleet. Let's search the market. Whoops, sorry. And what will happen is aircraft will be presented to us. Notice they're in different color. The ones presented in magenta are aircraft that we cannot afford either with on-hand revenue or the bank will not give us a loan to. If you see in orange, that means you do not have the revenue to purchase. However, you can take a loan out for the amount of the aircraft in order to add it to your fleet. Be mindful, older aircraft are cheaper, but they will incur more maintenance costs and higher insurance costs, as well as they will have a a higher rate of failures or mechanical issues the older the aircraft. So it may seem good on the short end if you go ahead and buy an older, cheaper aircraft. However, it may end up costing you more in the long run. However, that's what we can afford, so we're going to go ahead and purchase this aircraft by just simply double clicking it. Are you sure you want to buy this aircraft? Yes. There we go. So the transaction is complete. If we go back to the company, we'll see that $35 million, well as a hefty $2.5 million interest has been applied. The interest isn't cumulative. It will just be applied upfront, and that will prevent you from just buying and selling aircraft on a whim to try to add a little more realism. All right, so if we go back to fleet now, we can see we can't afford any additional aircraft because the bank that we get, the loan that we could take out is limited to $27 million. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to add another aircraft to the no, I don't have to add another aircraft. So you notice this is presented right here in green. That means this aircraft is available to use. If it was orange, it would mean that this aircraft has been scheduled for a revenue a flight, right? So the AI is going to fly it. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that now. You could do that by simply clicking on it. This button should unlock and allow you to schedule the aircraft. So let's go ahead and schedule this aircraft. Are you sure you want to schedule this aircraft? If you select yes, this aircraft will be unavailable for up to 7 days. Now, the reason why it's unavailable for up to 7 days is because it attempts to, if you put this aircraft into revenue service, that means people or passengers are going to buy tickets for it, and they're going to be expecting to fly within whatever time frame they choose. If you remove this aircraft from scheduled service and you don't have another aircraft to replace it with, you're going to have to reimburse all those customers their fares that they paid to fly, as well as inconvenience, whatever that is, whether that's through vouchers or whatever, because you don't have another aircraft to schedule to meet the commitment that you said when you put the aircraft into service. So I'm going to say yes, and there's the route that FSFO went ahead and generated for me. There looks like there's 4 segments. The number of segments are based on the size of the aircraft, and it's telling me that this aircraft will not be available until October 29th at this time, 7 days from now. So if you come back in and you notice it's orange now, that means it's on those revenue flights. So every day that you launch FSFO, you will get ticket revenue for these 4 segments right here. Right? You don't have to start it every day. If you start it, 10 days from now, it will just, take all those 10 days and it will give you revenue. So that's how fleet management is done in FSFO. I try to find that line between, I don't want you spending all your time managing a fleet, but I wanted to provide some realism, and this is kind of the what I settled on. Always interested in ideas, though. If it's no good, let me know, and can definitely go back and relook at it. Okay, remember we said we must own the aircraft. So what will happen now is if I try to hit pre-flight flow, it should let me know that this aircraft is in scheduled service. There you go. It's currently assigned to scheduled service. Please go to setup fleet page and remove it from scheduled service. So I could fly with this aircraft again by just removing or turning off their career mode, and then it doesn't care what your company settings are. It will just let you go ahead and fly. However, I do want to fly a company flight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this. Since it's scheduled, the button now will change to clear aircraft schedule. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. This aircraft is currently assigned to scheduled routes. If you select yes, you will have to reimburse customers their money for their inconvenience. Yes. And then as you can see, $18,000 is what I had to refund. And that's depicted here. So we are almost now $38 million in debt before we went ahead and have flown a single flight. But the good news is this aircraft is now available. So now when we click pre-flight flow, what will happen is we should get another prompt telling us that this aircraft is not at Bangor. Remember, because we have the option where is that? Start from last airport. And if you look at the fleet page, aircraft is currently in Atlanta. So we're going to have to relocate it, and we should be prompted to do so. There you go. Aircraft is not located at your current location. Would you like to move it now? Yes, I would. and then it cost almost $11,000 to go ahead and move that aircraft. Again, there we go, more deductions, no credits in our company page. Okay, so now your Copilot has entered. Now that we satisfied all those company options, we can now go ahead and
Good afternoon, Captain.
Start our flight. And you can see that the Copilot is performing the safety checks and powering up the aircraft. That is, again, based on this option right here, Copilot power up the aircraft. When he powers it up, he's going to use the GPU. You will also notice that he's going to run through some system tests, as you can see depicted here. The reason why he's going to run through those system tests, again, because I connected FSFO to an aircraft that was in a cold and dark state. The Copilot assumes it's the first flight of the day. That's why he's going to perform those tests. All right, notice this right here. This is a new option, runway lights off. I have that set to 5 miles per hour. What that will do is when I land at my destination airport, once I complete the after landing flow, the aircraft falls below 5 miles per hour. Your Copilot will automatically turn off your runway turn-off lights. That was suggested by some people who watched the video. It's a good suggestion. That's how airlines operate. You don't want to blind the gate crew when you turn into your arrival gate. There will also be a voice command that will allow you to do that. A couple of other options that I forgot last time is if you feel like these flows are moving too fast or there's not enough time between the checklist call and the checklist response, you can change the amount of seconds between each flow action. So if you really wanted to slow this down, you could put this 3 seconds, and what would happen is FSFO would pause 3 seconds between setting the flight deck lights and setting the position lights. It's all up to you. I forgot those options prior to, but they are added back in here now. All right, so you noticed, or maybe you didn't notice, but when FSFO got into the aircraft, he went ahead and opened the doors. That's because we have this option here, ground service includes doors. You can see he's already started to manipulate the GSX menu. And now 20 seconds to connect the GPU. Again, that was based on the setting that we just showcased. All right. A couple other things right off the bat. Again, we have ground services on. GSX integration is enabled, so we'll get to see all that play out. You can see that he has yet to start the flow, again, because he's starting the power. Now he's entering the flow that we have identified via the editor. Completely and 100% enabled for you to edit, so you control the flows. Okay, cargo fire system test now. And again, if you don't want to run those tests, just simply go to the editor and whoop, I shouldn't have turned that or just go to the editor and you can remove them. It's really that simple. You can just hit delete, remove that out, move that out, and then that's all you have to do to get rid of all the tests, just to save time. All right, lights test now. He's just looking to see if there's any bulbs out. And now coming up here, you can see he set the your IRS selectors. And then he's going to move down after a certain amount of time passes, and he's going to set the hydraulics. Hydraulics are really dependent on which airline you fly for. They're different. Some require them all off. Some require just the electrical pumps off. Again, that is 100% up to you. We can demonstrate that here real quick by going to hydraulics pumps. And you can see now that 0 is all off, 1 is all on, 2 is engine on and electrical off. That's what my SOP requires, so I have the value set to 2 within the editor here. Or excuse me, all on. I have it set to 1 here. Okay, so now load FMC. That is the next option. Again, this requires a flight plan to be downloaded into the PMDG work folder, which we discussed in the prior video. However, that may change. I see PMDG just announced that their long-awaited tablet will be released on the 30th, and it will have SimBrief incorporation, so you might be able to just
Computer is
directly,
programmed, except for the SIDS and stars.
you might be able to direct download it from SimBrief like you can
Heading
in
out for
the
my checks.
Phoenix aircraft. All right, notice that we got that warning from the copilot that he's heading out for his checks, but before he did, he reminded us to program the SIDS and stars. That's because in this advanced option, we have this set to 1, which means yes, we're on. He also went ahead and set our page to the departure and arrival. Just as a reminder, this is the one thing you have to do within PMDG is to go ahead and load the SIDS and stars. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. And you can see the catering. It looks like it's or sounds like it's arrived. We'll go ahead and we'll have a look at that in just a second. All right, so that's I went ahead and I have now programmed the FMC. That's all I have to do. The copilot is going to take care of the rest for me. I did forget to set this. Takeoff flaps are 1. That's correct. It's going to be a takeoff 2. Packs are going to be NA. That means I don't want you to touch it. My derated temperature is 47. And then
the gate agent is ready. Are we okay to start boarding?
Okay, so my apologies. I forgot to do this up front, but because I have FSFO configured to set the performance data within the FMC, I have to tell him what that performance data is, and I just did this. All right, so initial altitude is going to be 8,000, and we are good to go. The new altitude will be 3,000. Again, this is a new feature. What will happen is when you get to the top of descent, FSFO will now dial in this altitude for you. The initial altitude is what he's going to dial into the MCP if you have that option configured via the editor. And we'll just take a look at that real quick. It should be right after here. See, you'll have to excuse me. I'm looking. Right there, MCP config. So I have it set to 1, which means the copilot's going to put the flight directors on, the auto throttle on, and he's going to set the altitude, heading, and speed. However, if you just want him to set his side, which is essentially the flight, or excuse me, yeah, which is essentially the flight director in the altitude, you can do that by just selecting 0. And that's all he'll do, is he'll do his side, and then it's expected that you'll do your side. Again, this is just an example of the all the configuration options that FSFO gives you. All right, as you can see, the catering is here, and the reason why the catering is there is because in the advanced option, we told it to start catering service 60 seconds after the power has been established. So that's what FSFO is doing. We've also included catering services within the ground service options. He's using GSX because we have GSX integrated. You can see right now that he's also asking when ready, we can go ahead and send the passengers down. That's another option. We told FSFO to go ahead and start the packs loading 180 seconds after we establish power to the aircraft. Completely configurable to whatever it is you choose. So let's get back into the cockpit, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold Control plus Shift. By the way, you can also use voice, and you can say send them down. Same effect. Let's just hold Control plus Shift because I'm talking to you.
Yes, we're all set up here.
Okay. There we go. So now you can see requesting GSX boarding. You will not have to touch the GSX menu at all, except to tell if you're using pushback. You have to tell which direction you want the aircraft to push back, and we'll get to demonstrate that here shortly. So catering services are completed, and now we're just standing by waiting for the passengers. The copilot is still on his walk around. As you can see, he has 285 seconds to go. We look outside. FSFO is already, GSX has positioned the stairs. If we were at a jetway, he would manipulate the jetway, but since he's not, we're going to go ahead and use the stairs. And in a little bit, we should see the GSX buses start to roll up, and then passengers starting to board. Again, this is FSFO manipulating the GSX menu, so you do not have to. And what we can do now is, just for expediency, I'm going to hold Control plus Alt, and I'm going to have the copilot come back in and complete his pre-flight procedures. As you can see, I have the copilot doing the entire pre-flight procedure, and I am not doing anything.
Passenger's bus is coming.
So what instead, this would be where I am uploading my VATSIM flight plan, communicating with controllers, all that good stuff that I should be doing. And the copilot is handling the configuration of the aircraft. All right, let's Control plus Alt.
Aircraft looks good.
Okay, now he's back in, and now he's going to load the weight that he downloaded from SimBrief into the FMC, because that's what we told him to do within the pre-flight flow editor. Again, we'll see how this all changes with the EFB is released. Rest assured, I will still have these as options. Yep, there's FSFO. He's go ahead and performing the pref page now, or perf page. And again, if you wanted to have FSFO do the route, but not the performance data, you can do that. Just take this, take the load FMC performance out of the editor, and then it would be up to you to do. There we go. Remember, we told them on the FSFO plan page, use flaps 1. And there he goes. He just completely programmed your FMC. Again, we told them to use a D-rate temperature of 47 and takeoff 2, D-rate 47. Now he's coming up here, setting the window heat, all on. Hydraulic panel is set now. Packs are coming on or set to auto. And he's even set the landing and the pressure for us too. He can literally do everything. Remember, we talked about MCP. If you want him just to do his side, you can set it. If you want him to do it all, which I have him set, I have him configured to do, he can do. Remember, we said set the initial altitude to 8,000. He did that. And now he's doing the stall warning test. Just a word of caution, the stall warning test and the GPWS test, while FSFO does allow you to completely configure the checklist and flows yourself, you do have to have some knowledge of the aircraft itself. These will not work until the FMC is completely configured or initialized. So that's why they're down here at this part of the flow and not up top. Okay, after the GPWS test, he's going to come down here and he's going to go ahead and program the heads-up display. And you can see GSX is boarding. It's 36 of 165. We come out here and we take a look. There's the buses and there's the passengers boarding. Again, FSFO has, if you don't have GSX, no problem. FSFO would just use Microsoft Flight Simulator embedded catering service and luggage trucks. And it will also simulate boarding for you to complete with sounds. Now, it's not to... it is not to GSX, right? There's going to be no virtual passengers. That's not what FSFO is all about. Okay, there we go. There's our test completed. And now you can see he's putting the elevation 178, and Bangor almost has a 2-mile runway. So all that's done and done correctly. So now your heads-up display is configured. He's even will allow you to set whatever FMC page you want to set via the flow editor. Okay, so there is the pre-flight flow. It is all set and done. I'm gonna go ahead and let's do we'll do the pre-flight checklist. We won't use voice. We'll do the next checklist via voice. But for now, we'll just go ahead and click the button.
Pre-flight checklist. Tested. Navigation, transfer, and display switches. Normal and auto. Window heat. On. Pressurization mode selector. Auto.
And I see he's checking the flight instruments, so something's not right with the flight instruments. It's probably My altimeter is not set.
Set.
So
On. Fuel control switches. Cut off. Departure briefing. It will be a left seat takeoff from Kilo, Bravo, Golf, Romeo, 2, Kilo, Bravo, Oscar, Sierra. The reported runway conditions are normal. Taxi route is per ATC instructions. We'll be departing on runway 3, climbing via the departure procedures to an initial altitude of 8,000 feet. Standard reject and emergency procedures apply. Any questions?
I'm good.
Completed.
Checklist complete.
okay, so you noticed in the checklist there were two sounds that didn't play. Again, those are bugs. I wrote those down. I probably have them named incorrectly, but we'll definitely get those fixed before going forward. Again, I've renamed or I've re-recorded all the sounds or regenerated them, redid the to give through compression to make them sound like they're coming through headset. So I was bound to have a couple of errors here and there, and it looks like I absolutely did. So we'll definitely get those fixed though before sending this out for beta this week. It's going to happen this week. Okay, so as you can see, a third bus is required. We're at 90 of 121 passengers boarded. We're getting there. And instead of waking you, wait, because we're not going to start the pre-flight flow until after the boarding is complete. We'll pause the video here and return back. Okay, we're just about done boarding. One thing I did want to note is you noticed that FSFO went ahead and already played the departure briefing. Again, you can add that or remove that from the checklist. It is an options that is available. It says if you want it just to call only, to say, hey, departure briefing, he could do that. However, you want him to execute the departure briefing, your value would be 1. Since I have a value of 1, that's why he went ahead and automatically issued or executed the departure briefing. So now that the boarding is all completed, the doors will close, or it's just about completed, I should say. So GSX has a different number than the SimBrief, because SimBrief downloaded 128. I probably forgot to re-put my SimBrief ID in, so I apologize for that. So we're going to have to just go a little bit longer here as the board, as it looks like it used the maximum value of 165 passengers. So I will go back to pause it to save some time and be right back. Okay, we are done boarding. The full passengers, 165, are now boarded. So what's going to happen now is GSX should be just finishing up. And then removing the bus. The FSFO will then close the doors, and we will start the before start flow. There we go. Boarding is now completed. FSFO, again, because remember we had the option to close the door, is closing the doors. And because we have auto flows enabled, and we have the before start flow starting 60 seconds from the doors, he's automatically, actually that's another bug, I should have waited 60 seconds, so I will have to go in and fix that too. Oh no, looks like it, nope, I have to go in and fix that. So that's actually, I'm actually surprised there hasn't been more bugs, to be honest with you, because I literally did change quite a bit of things, but I'll have to get in there and look at that. So because we have auto flow on, all the doors are closed, FSFO went ahead and started our before start flow. He's going to go ahead and turn the hydraulic pumps on once he starts the APU. $14 for the APU to spool, and then we'll move power over to the APU generator, or off the APU generator, or onto the APU generator, excuse me. There we go. Now we have power on the APU and off the GPU. Hydraulic pumps are going all on, as you can see up here. Packs will come off. Recirculation fans off. Anti-collision light is now on. And FSFO is going to even remove your ground power for you. Clear the caution. and ensure the parking brake is set. Once he waits for the GPU to disconnect. And there we go. There's the before start flow is all done. If you excuse me, I just have to make some notes of some of those errors that I need to correct.
In order to push back on time, all passengers must be seated with your seatbelts fastened. All luggage must be stored in the overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. The cabin crew will be passing through to make their final safety checks before pushback. Thank you and welcome aboard.
And there's the flight attendant message. And again, I'll be right back. I just want to complete my notes. Okay, back now. Let's go ahead and initialize the voice recognition, and we're going to run this checklist via voice. Before start checklist.
Before start checklist.
Closed and locked.
1, 2, 2, 8, 9er, pounds.
Checked.
Passenger sign.
On. Set.
V1, 1, 2, 9er, VR, 1, 2, 9er, V2, 1, 3, 2.
Checked.
CDU pre-flight.
Completed.
Rudder and aileron trim.
Set.
Anti-collision lights.
On.
Checklist complete.
Okay, you'll have to excuse me again. It looks like some of the voice recordings were not accurate, so or did not come. So I have to come back and make a few more notes. So if you'll have to excuse me. Okay, I'm back again. Again, apologize for I've made several changes.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Again, this is FSFO interacting with the GSX to request pushback. And that's all predicated on request pushback delay was set to 10 seconds after the before start checklist. So if you want more time, you could just add it. Whoop, I'm sorry, voice was on. No problem. All you have to do is go back and click on that.
Check completed. Bypass bin inserted.
That's the problem with using open mic. However, that's what's great about this version of FSFO. It allows you to turn off open mic and set a push to talk button if you so choose to do so, to avoid things that just happen, a misinterpretation of a command. Although I did say before start checklist, so FSFO did it accurately, if you will. Okay, so we've requested pushback. It takes a little bit of time for GSX to get into position and to execute the pushback sequence. FSFO does have its own embedded pushback, which I'm going to showcase in another film, probably a subsequent one I will show without GSX interaction or integration, excuse me. Okay, so this is the only time you have to interact with the GSX menu. You have to tell it where do you want it to go? Where do you want it to push? I want the nose to go right and the tail to go left.
Release parking brakes.
Parking brakes off. Parking brake off.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Start engines. And again, that's just the voice is vastly improved.
Starting engine 2.
Okay. Starting engine 2. FSFO is now waiting for 20% N1, and then he's going to introduce fuel into the ignition system. There it goes, and wait for the engine to fire. Again, highly configurable. If you just want FSFO to manipulate the start switches, you manipulate the fuel, you can do that, or vice versa. All configurable now. Okay, there's the engine. We're pushing back nicely. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to enable verbose, just so we can go over that feature again. Okay, 9 more seconds. This engine's almost fired. And then FSFO will repeat the steps for engine 1.
Left eng start switch.
Starting engine 1.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brake on.
Waiting your confirmation.
confirmation for good engine start.
And FSFO will even handle that, will confirm the engine start for you once both engines
Left end
are...
start lever.
That's verbose mode.
Waiting for
As you-
next action.
So if you can't read that, for example, FSFO and verbose will tell
Engine
you
1 started.
exactly what he or she is doing. Let's turn that off. Again, just wanted to demonstrate it. Okay. Once both engines are started and stabilized, what will happen next is FSFO will confirm engine start with the GSX. And what it's waiting for is for N1 values to get within a tolerable difference between the two before it considers both engines stable. And we should be just about there after the wait time. And almost there.
All engines stable.
And there you go. Now he's confirming
We have a
the
good
engine start.
You can disconnect.
Okay, now GSX will go ahead and disconnect, and we can go into our after start flows. I turned autoflow off. My apologies. We'll turn it back on. And there we go. APU coming off.
Unlocking gear.
Flight deck lights coming off. Flaps will be set according to what was set in the FMC. You can see flaps 1, and the transponders going on, and even FSFO will set his clock for the block time. There we go.
Connected. Bypass been
Let's
removed.
let's go ahead and run the taxi checklist now.
Taxi checklist. Generators. On. Probe heat. On. Isolation valve. Auto. Engine start switches. Continuous. Check. Auto brakes. Rejected takeoff.
And now for the flight control test, he's looking to maneuver full left, full right, full up, full down. And it looks like I don't have my my joystick connected, so what I'm going to do is just skip it.
Check. Checklist complete.
And there we are. So there is the pre-flight procedures. The only errors that noted was actually a couple of the sound files were missing or are not appropriately named. That should take literally a couple minutes to fix. And then we have to fix some of the delays on the flows. FSFO doesn't look like they were recognizing them. That's about a total of maybe 10 minutes of work. So pretty happy with how this turned out. Looking for comments and especially on the company and how I can make this better. I appreciate it. Well, we can go just one more. Let's go before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Flaps. Set. Set. Checklist complete.
Yep, there's another sound file that's not appropriately named. So definitely get them fixed up before getting this pushed out to the beta testers. But as you can see, incredibly close. Everything works how it should. The Phoenix is almost done too, so I'm pretty happy with how things are progressing with version 5, although I will admit to being behind my timeline. Okay, with that, I think the next video we'll do is one without GSX integration, and then one shortly after that to showcase the Phoenix within version 5. So until next time, thank you all again for your support. Hope to see you soon. Signing off.